Exiting. Whoa, is he going to make this? Is he going to make it?
Right now,
Pedro share. This is a fast move.
Arriving daily, only at your SoCal Hyundai dealer.
We begin with breaking news right now out of Glendale, and you are looking at it live. LAPD in pursuit, and this might be a stolen vehicle.
yeah, that's a white sedan that you see on the roadways. Our Gil Levis is overhead in Sky 5. Gil, what do we know?
Pedro share. This is a fast-moving chase that came up the 2 freeway from the 5. It went all the way up to the 210 and exited the freeway here in La Cañada Flint Ridge. We're losing it behind the trees here, but you see it popping back out there. The LAPD airships overhead. The ground units dropped out, so we're going to have to readjust our position here about 2 o'clock, David. And he's weaving in and out of, or weaving around this road here. This is going to be Woodley. And he's losing control there. I don't know if you can see, he's kind of fishtailing there. Almost hit a car that was coming around the corner. Now he's going to continue with the vehicles at a high rate of speed on the here in just a second. But the LAPD units had to drop out, but the airship is still overhead. And unfortunately, we got a lot of trees on the street. So we'll see him pop out here in just a second here. But again, the stolen vehicle, we first picked it up around the 5 and the 2 freeway, and it continued all the way up into La Cañada Flint Ridge at this point.
And again, you're watching the KTLA 5 News at 5. I'm Pedro Rivera, joined by Sandra Mitchell in for Cher Calvin today. And right now you're taking a look at a pursuit going on live at La Cañada Flint Ridge, California. As you see right here, there was LAPD in pursuit of this possibly stolen vehicle. Not sure where they're headed, but at one point, LAPD has backed off, but we still have the chopper overhead.
Yeah, they are surveilling from overhead. And Gil, did I maybe see somebody in the passenger seat there?
You know, it looks like a yellow towel, maybe. Fortunately, that yellow towel is helping me keep track of the vehicle because there's a lot of white vehicles that come through here. And so that's helping us identify it, but also the erratic driving. You can see here, passing that vehicle, making a left in front of him, wrong side of the road and then back onto the right side of the road.
And that's what makes things so dangerous and traveling at a high rate of speed. Gil Levis was reporting at some points the driver was going over 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, also really curvy roads here and through a neighborhood, and you see all the trees that kind of prevent other drivers from, they can't see what's coming at them.
And Gil, that makes it so much more difficult to follow, I can imagine, right? I mean, just look at how many trees are in the area as you try to follow these curvy roads.
Yes, for sure. Trees, a lot of buildings there. And he's going to continue on Chevy Chase here, windy street like Sandra just mentioned. But you can see the vehicle still driving at a high rate of speed on those curves, going on the wrong side of the road at times. It did fishtail there for a minute as it was winding in a, well, I guess this would be a southerly direction on Chevy Chase Drive on the, they're saying on the back side of the mountain, so heading back towards like where the 134 is, but it's still a ways from that freeway. And when they come out to a wider shot, you see no units behind it, the airship overhead, but keeping the eyes on the vehicle. We don't know how many people are in the vehicle, at least the driver. You know, Sandra mentioned the yellow, maybe shirt, but I believe it's a towel or maybe a seat cover that's covering that front seat. But we'll try to get a better look once we get an open spot to look in. Here might be a chance right here.
And this is very
hard to tell. Maybe you guys can see it.
It's really hard to make out if there's a passenger in the vehicle or not, but we see this driver going very fast through these windy roads, taking the turns at really high rates of speed. And what you worry about is the other vehicles that, as we've seen this driver going on both sides of the road, making really erratic turns here. Now, Gil, was there a safety reason as to why LAPD decided to back away from this? Is this normal for them to do? When you talk about pursuing a vehicle in a neighborhood like this, running through stops signs as we saw right there.
Right?
Yeah, sometimes it is. Sometimes they back off to help the driver realize exactly what the driver's doing, driving at such a high rate of speed. Sometimes the adrenaline takes over and the driver doesn't understand that maybe he's driving so fast, and it's such a dangerous situation that the ground units will drop back. But in this case, I believe the vehicle just pulled away from the units on the transition road from the 2 to the 210 eastbound. It seemed like the units kind of dropped back at that point, and then it exited the freeway. So at this point, we're hearing that the ground units might try to get up ahead of the vehicle and try to block them off. We're hearing a description of the driver, might have a facial tattoo, but we'll see what happens when this pursuit ends. But continuing here on Chevy Chase at St. Andrews.
And Gil, we are understanding that this possibly started in Glendale. Is that correct? A stolen vehicle?
That's where we first learned about it. Elizabeth on our assignment desk called it out for us. We found it on the scanner right away. We were really close to the area. We're right over Dodger Stadium. We found the vehicle speeding very.
The 134 freeway is where I believe Gil first started following. You see the driver here. Look at that.
Wrong side of the road again.
Wrong side of the road.
And I don't know if this is a strategy that he went up to the hills up on Chevy Chase and into the La Cañada Flint Ridge area, but you can see the streets are wide open. Freeways, 5 o'clock on a Monday afternoon, not going to be a good choice for anyone, especially someone trying to get away from LAPD, right, Gil?
Absolutely, Sandra. You're seeing the driver. Here's the 2 freeway under the bridge and then into Glendale proper. There we go, making a left turn. Let's see if the driver's trying to get back to the freeway. I believe he can get on to the 134 here, possibly up ahead. So a left turn takes him back towards the 134 right now. Wrong side of the road, well, right down the middle actually, and continuing at a high rate of speed. Look out, here we go, right through an intersection. Red light, cuts right in front of that car. Boy, close call there. Again, right down the center, double yellows there, and he's going to continue southbound.
And again, right now you're watching a possible stolen vehicle, that white sedan that you see there on surface streets in Glendale. This first started, I believe, around on the 134, the driver eventually getting off, going onto surface streets, traveling at high rates of speed, traveling on the wrong side of the road, traveling very fast as well. We've seen speeds upwards of 70 miles per hour on roads that you're probably only supposed to be going 35. And right here, the driver's making a left turn. And Gil, you believe this driver's possibly heading towards, trying to find some way, possibly to get back on the freeway.
That's right, Pedro. You saw the freeways there, the interchanges, and he's just going to barrel his way through that intersection, right through those cars. And now continue. This is Colorado Boulevard here. And one concern, I believe there's a mall right near here that he could turn into. Maybe he's already past that. It looks like he's past it. He's going to continue eastbound. Now he's going to be heading towards the Pasadena area at this point.
Gil, you mentioned that the mall that he could possibly be passing. We've seen drivers trying to get away before, ditch the vehicle, run into the parking garage or into the shopping mall. That really amps up the danger of anyone else who might be in the area.
Look how fast he's going.
Yeah, so fast, and just ignoring stop signs, ignoring red lights, barreling through intersections, kind of weaving in and out of traffic. Gil, with no flashing lights behind him, no sirens, it makes it even more dangerous for other drivers.
You see a pedestrian crossing the street.
It sure does. Yeah, boy, it's dangerous for pedestrians, everybody out here. No lights and sirens behind him, just a fast-moving vehicle. People don't know what's happening. The airship overhead keeping track, but really no one on the ground really knows what's going on until this guy's on him. But you're right, Sandra. A lot of times you see pursuits end in malls where they will jump or drive into a parking structure and try to get away, but there's a lot of cameras at the malls, so security turns on their cameras or has them on and they can follow that person. That's not the case here. The driver continuing. No one's jumped out of this vehicle, and we believe it's just the driver at this point. We can't see into the back, but for sure the driver. It didn't look like there was anyone in that passenger seat. And here we are, eastbound, now northbound turn on Hermosa, I believe it is, coming back towards Colorado.
And one thing I worry about here is
formula sold in the U.S., so the plant closure has led to severe short.
Copy. Okay, copy. We're in Eagle Rock. We're in a residential area of Eagle Rock, just off of Hill Drive and Eagle Vista Drive, and the LAPD is the agency that is in pursuit. You wouldn't know it though because there's no units directly behind this guy, but I can tell you that the airship is overhead. They're in tracking mode. There he goes, just as I said it. So they're in tracking mode now of this possible stolen car because initially they did have units behind him, but he was driving so dangerously that they had to pull off. And now he's just under that tree there, making that left-hand or eastbound turn. I believe that might be an alley behind that apartment. In fact, there's no exit to that apartment. So he may try to come back out, or perhaps that's where they're going to ditch the car and take off on foot. But you can see that LAPD officers are arriving on scene now. I just saw them on the street there, and now we see people running. So there were three people believed to be inside of that car. It was a white vehicle, an older model, believed to be a stolen. This pursuit started in the LAPD.
doing whatever.
And now one of those guys is just very gingerly walking down.
Backing up, look at this, might be a place where he's familiar with, and he's going to pull into that driveway and maybe try to run. Oh, man,
Looks
he goes
like an
fast
apartment
back there.
complex.
Let's go forward a little bit here and let's see if he pops out, but unfortunately the building's blocking right now. And listening to the airship, there goes one unit at the bottom of the screen. Might be into the apartments there. The airship's saying he went into a parking structure, one building east of that officer. There goes the officers running into the building. We're going to continue to watch that back alleyway to see if he can come back out. And
there, if there's a parking garage under that building, in any event, LAPD passing where he slipped into that alleyway right there. We're looking right at it. Let's jump on the other side as LAPD gets out of their vehicles to begin running down that block. Have not seen
This is the pass
of that vehicle and not clear on where he could have pulled into, but it looks like it ends right there. He must be in a garage in that building.
but
Apartment building right there on your left appears to be where this chase is coming to an end. He must have found an open garage door or a carport under there, and it looks like this chase is coming to an end, guys.
Yeah, dangerous for those police officers going in blind, essentially. We don't know anything about this suspect. We don't know if he's armed.
it is LAPD
That from authority.
here that are
Vista
on the scene. So they were tracking it from a distance, and they believe this is the driver from the vehicle
appears to be, and if he
in a park
was in the car.
turned in.
All right, so what they will do now is they'll take him into custody, make sure he is complying with their commands. It looks like he is. Hands behind the back, they will handcuff him. Meanwhile, they will find that vehicle, and they will send other officers to surround that vehicle and go.
All right, Gil Levis, we appreciate you for keeping us updated as you see that person who was possibly stole a vehicle here is now in handcuffs and will be in custody of LAPD.
All right, our thanks to Gil Levis and LAPD as well. Now to our other big story tonight.
This is an area that was familiar to the driver, and because they were driving so dangerously, that's why there were no ground units behind the vehicle when they decided to pull over at this apartment complex. So perhaps this is an area that is familiar to them. That's why they selected that one building just off of Eagle Vista Drive. And again, this was originally wanted for possibly being a stolen car. Thanks, babe. Can we go to the other side, Sarah? I want to see if we can see the car. Thank you. Yeah, it's like a subterranean parking. Simon Des from the chopper. So he pulled into that subterranean park.